going to do training and development today. Mostly it's going to be based around e-learning and corporate training. So there we go, corporate training and e-learning. Studies have shown, and one in particular that we've referenced here, that companies that undergo learning and development initiatives make 218% more income than companies that don't. So let's say I made 10 grand last year, I do an initiative, this year I'll make maybe $30,000. Now, if I was a company and I made $1 million last year, and I did a learning and development initiative, how much money would I make this year? What do you think?
3 mil.
Who said that? Do you want O. Henry or Reese's?
Reese's.
Reese's, can you catch it?
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, that's not really that much money though, right? If my company made $100 million last year, and then I did a learning and development initiative, how much would I make this year?
300 million.
Whoa, sure. How much?
300 million.
300 million. There we go. So, it's a lot of money, right? As you'll see throughout our presentation, we're going to be referencing different sources, different information. They come from trusted places. We've all heard of Forbes magazine, Statista. Training Mag is a learning and development industry publication. They do an industry report every year with various statistics and information, and the Association for Training Development. Now, my part was trends and challenges. I focused on one trend in particular in corporate training, which is gamification. Gamification's intent is to eliminate this. Eliminate the guy sleeping, this guy yawning. I mean, who envisions corporate training as being something really exciting? Anybody? What about boring? When you think of it, does it sound boring? Yeah, sounds pretty boring, right? So the point of gamification is to avoid the boredom. And as this training industry CEO says, badges, points, leaderboards, and community involvement incentivize the online training experience for even the most jaded learner. The jaded learner. Who's the jaded learner here? The guy who's sleeping.
Justin.
Right? Justin, I guess. But yeah, gamification is already everywhere in our lives. I mean, we all use different apps. These are from my phone. You know, I walk, I count my steps when I walk, and I destroy my mother every single week. You know, that kind of thing. I don't know. Some of you might play something else against your friends. Starbucks. Every time you go to Starbucks, you can earn stars, and you can trade these stars for different rewards, prizes for free coffee, things like that. So we already really understand gamification. It's part of our lives already. And it's almost like there's more time in the day. Now, if, say you're at work, and you're super, super busy, then your boss says, on top of all this work you have to do, now he wants to send you to a corporate seminar. Does that sound like a good idea? No, right? It's like, God, I've already got enough to do. But if he tells you, why don't you download this app and play this game, and within it, it's an in-office competition, and within that competition, you can win a prize. That sounds like more fun. Maybe it's even a break from work, you know? So it's like, it takes the burden of the training out of your work day and maybe makes it even a little bit more fun. And it also keeps track of progress. So these apps are designed so that management can easily keep track of the goals that are being accomplished. So your boss can go in there and say, okay, employee 1 has completed the training, employee 2 has completed the training, employee 3 is struggling in this area. So it's very easy for management to track and make sure the training goals are being met. Now, looking forward, corporate training spending has increased over 51% in the last 10 years. So it's a big deal. More and more money's going towards it. And 21% of companies last year in Training Mag's industry report said that they'd spend money on games and simulations. So this is becoming a thing, and it very well could be the fresh new learning and development initiative that your company is looking for. And so now I'll pass it over to Nick for importance and benefits.
Thank you, Dorian.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the importance and benefits of training in the financial industry. Just to start off, the industry that we're all hoping to work in one day is highly regulated by government rules and regulations. These rules and regulations are constantly being tweaked or introduced into all aspects of the financial industry. In a sector where Not following these rules and regulations can cost a business millions of dollars. Constant training will ensure that employees are up to speed on these regulations and the skills to perform everyday tasks on the job. Another important aspect to consider is the increasing numbers of millennials in this industry. According to FinTech Futures, by 2025, millennials and beyond will dominate the industry. With all that being considered, e-learning is a very promising approach to accommodate up-and-coming tech-savvy generations. According to the LinkedIn Learning Report of 2018, 58% of employees prefer to learn at their own pace. And that's exactly what e-learning platforms offer. You can learn at your own pace at any time of the day, anywhere. Next, we'll address some of the benefits of e-learning. First off, it's accessible through any mobile device, whether that be tablet, computer, phone, making e-learning platforms accessible anywhere. Secondly, it saves you time. Because it is offered through mobile devices or any device, you no longer have to travel to any assigned training venues. Thirdly, it increases your retention. Many e-learning platforms offer many different mediums to present the content, whether that be text, videos, games, and so forth. Fourth off, e-learning platforms have measurable features. So say you want to know what you need to work on and what you don't need to focus on as much, you can track that through any e-learning platform that you have used. And now I'm going to pass it on to Andrew for some of the platforms.
Thank you. So good evening. In this part of the presentation, I'll outline two features that are crucial in selecting an e-learning system. So there are numerous features that business need to consider, but in this presentation, I will outline mobile-friendly, so how accessible the e-learning system is, and user-specific, so how customizable the platform is. So mobile-friendly. So each e-learning system should be multi-device, should be available on multiple devices. So no matter what the device the user is using, so phone, tablet, computer, the e-learning system should be compatible with that. So this is achieved through the creation of apps, through videos, through podcasts that are compatible with each device. An example of this is with Google Drive. So with Google Drive, no matter what device you are operating, you can access your work and make changes to it. And that's very beneficial, right? Because on the last minute you can make tweaks and changes. The next platform, or the next feature that's super important, is user-specific. So again, how customizable the e-learning training system is. So when we think of customizability, we think of customizable user reports. So at the end of each chapter, at the end of each module, the user should get a sense of how well they're doing and how well they grasp the concepts. So this is super important because if the user needs more time, as they're not maybe grasping something, they can have that visual representation of the data, right? So as we learned in marketing, dashboards are that visual representation of data. So if a company can introduce a dashboard to the user report, the user could get a very good sense of how well they're doing and what they can still improve on. Again, this all falls under the umbrella of tailor-made. Right? So each learning system should be tailor-made to the specific needs of individuals. If the e-learning system does this, then there are numerous benefits associated with that. Next we have Ari, who will talk about resources and a couple examples with e-learning systems.
Thank you. So hi guys, I'm Ari, and I'm going to be talking about the resources and examples of online corporate training. So we're going to start off with a fact, and the fact is that corporate training has risen to $168 billion in 2018, and that's just in North America. Most of these trainings are online trainings that range from normal online courses to video games and different simulations. So we're going to start off with an online course. It's the IFRS online study. It's recommended by most institutions. CPA Canada recommends it for its upcoming accountants because well, to be an accountant, you need a good and strong understanding of IFRS. This online study provides lots of partial scenarios, case studies. It has 25 different features of interactive exercises, and these exercises are very applicable to the accountant's career. Yeah, then we have video games. So no one really likes PowerPoint lectures as much. So many institutions are coming up with video games as their ways to get their users more engaged, and it's working. More users are playing these games daily, and it's increasing their effectiveness. So one of the popular games they came up with, CP Canada came up with, was Accounting for Empires. It's sort of a knockoff of an old game called Age of Empires. Does anyone know that game? Yeah. So what I found surprising was people who are taking the CPA exam are actually using this as a resource to study for their exam, because the questions in this game are apparently very relevant to what's going to be on the exam. And lastly, we have MindBridge AI Auditor tool. Now this is new. Recently, CPA has joined with MindBridge AI and created this tool just in 2019. So what is it? Well, it's an auditor tool which helps detect errors and anomalies in an auditing process. They recommend this to be used by specifically financial auditors, CFOs, and forensic auditors, or anyone who's going to be involved in the auditing process. And why should they use it? Well, it increases their effectiveness by working step by step. So, we have Wiley Plus, where in each assignment we do a page worth of work, and turns out if you make a small transposition error at the start, your entire thing's going to be wrong. Well, MindBridge actually works step by step with you, so in the end, your work is always error-free. So that was my part, and I'm going to be passing it to Sarah to talk about issues and disadvantages. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ari. So I'm going to talk about issues and disadvantages on e-learning. So we see that e-learning is becoming increasingly popular. There's games, you can even study for the CPA exam. But according to the survey done by CIPD in 2018, where employees worldwide are asked what they think is the most effective form of corporate training, they still say that hands-on learning is the most effective form. Even 90% of employees agree. Like, virtual training is not even part of the top 3 in this list. So why exactly is this happening? So one of the reasons is, with virtual training, it kind of makes you feel lonely. Because it's accessible anywhere, your manager or your supervisor will ask you to complete this training at home. Think of it like doing econ homework. Except if you're a child, when you do econ homework by yourself at night, you just feel lonely, frustrated, stressed out. But when you do it with your friends, somehow it's just more enjoyable and you like doing it. So it's the same with training. Employees simply like it when they can do training with their coworkers. Another reason is with e-learning, there's just not enough feedback. So for example, you're having problem applying certain skill. Well, maybe the system will suggest, okay, you must do solution A. But that's it, only one solution. On the other hand, with traditional training, there's a lot of people, there's a mentor or a coach, and there's your coworkers, so you will get a lot of feedback to your problem. So if you can apply one solution, there's always other solutions. The last is e-learning is just not suitable for developing social skills. So as a Forbes contributor said, studying leadership isn't the same as delivering it. Knowing what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, doing public speaking, does not automatically make you a good public speaker. You have to practice over and over again for you to be a good public speaker. But all of this doesn't make e-learning wasteful for the company. They simply have to take notes on certain advice and warnings when investing in their e-learning. George will discuss more about this.
Thank you, sir. So I'll talk about some advice and warnings from industry experts. First, you should always engage your employees before training. Since we are in the finance industry, math is very important. Remember the math refresher test we did before the semester? Because you can give out these math refresher or series of practice questions before they do the formal training. And also the key terms are very important. Since we are dealing with a lot of terminologies, you should make sure the employees understand the definition of each word means. And secondly, you should set expectations. Well, that picture's not here. Should set expectations since there's no supervisors actually physically be there during the training. You should give your employees a checklist to make sure they can keep track of their progress during the training. And you can also give out small quizzes to test or have your expectation be achieved. Thirdly, you should also create an online experience. You can simply do this by creating a fictional character. It will help your employees to understand the concepts or the contents in an understandable and more interesting way. And also, you should connect your employees with your colleagues that works in the same department that are who are taking the same training courses. They might come up with the same issues or problems, and they can solve them together. Fourthly, you should provide them some sample data. It will help them to simulate the transactions like the real banks do. It will help them to build their confidence and be more prepared for the real work, for their career. One thing you should not do is make it too long. You should always break the big chapter into small portions. It will not only help them to understand better, it will also help them to keep track of their progress. And if you want to put video in your training courses, don't go over 20 minutes, because that's when people start losing focus in their training. Okay, to summarize. So gamification is a growing trend in online training industry, and addresses the challenges that exist in the traditional training. And two benefits of using online training is it's easily accessible. You can do it at home or on the way to work, and saves you time. You can do it anywhere. And two features, they are mobile friendly. You can access to it from your cell phone, from a tablet, basically any portable devices. And they are user specific. Different training courses are designed for different targeted groups. For us, we are finance people, so there are certain softwares are designed. There's one game called Accounting for Umpires for accounting. We can prepare our CPA test with that game. And there's an interactive simulation tool for auditors called MindBridge AI. It's also very useful. Issues and disadvantages. Sometimes when you're doing the online training, you feel lonely because you're by yourself, and you get limited feedback from the course because there's no one else is there to give you feedback. For advice and warnings, you should always set up a series of questions before the training and don't make it too long. So who has questions?